Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 7 of Four Guys Talking Sports, the podcast. My name is Luke Lograno.
I'm Ryan Hicks.
I'm David Acasella.
And I'm Lawrence Lograno.
Gentlemen, welcome back. Lawrence, happy birthday.
Hey-o!
Thank you. Appreciate it. Big 2-5.
First episode as a 25-year-old. You can now rent a car. How does it feel?
That's a big one.
Not any different.
Have you rented a car yet?
No, I have.
There you go.
Here's the burning question. How was Vegas?
That's true.
Oh, it was fun. And related to this podcast, I was in town for one night's home game. And boy, was it electric. Let me tell you, that place was rocking. It was a complete party. Basically a show, not a hockey game. At least that's how it felt. And I put $100 as soon as I got to the hotel. I went to the sports book because we got there about 2 hours before game time. We wanted to be there about an hour before for pregame. We didn't want to miss any of the acts as they do in Vegas. And so I laid $100 down for Knights laying a goal and a half. And the Ottawa Senators started their backup, Anders Nielsen. It wasn't even Craig Anderson. It was Anders Nielsen. That team looked like a peewee team. And I believe Nielsen had 50 saves as the game went to overtime 2-2, which killed my bet. Vegas wins in a shootout. So it was absolutely electric. That bet had every business of hitting. And we got a Ryan Reeves fight in the first 2 minutes. So the place was jumping from the start. I mean, could have been the most fun hockey game I've ever been to in my entire life.
Was that a show like on the ice prior to the game?
Yes.
Those ice shows, yeah.
They did a nice show with the Knight. He was a big part. And he wasn't their mascot. Their mascot is like Chance the Lizard or something.
Chance I think it's like a Gila monster or some nonsense like that.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I believe you. I don't know what the hell it is. But they also have a Knight walking around, and he whacks his shield with a sword to start Chance. But in the pregame show, it skated out onto the ice like with something. They had a video. Like, their video packages were lights out. I mean, they were talking about prostitutes and stuff. Like, it was really, really crazy. It was like, the crudest sporting event I've ever been to in my entire life. But that's Vegas, I guess, right?
It is legal in parts of Nevada.
Yeah, there you go. So I can't confirm or deny whether I saw any of it. Hint, I saw a lot of it. So like they have a video package of the Knight like fighting a character they like label as the Senator. You know what I mean? Right. And like the end of it is the two of them skating out on the ice, the Knight killing him, and then boom, like lights up, players come out. Game start. It was wild.
That is pretty awesome.
I will say that, like, when you look at where the NHL expansion had to go first, it had to be Vegas, and everyone was worried that every Vegas game isn't going to feel like a home game because so many people are going to travel to see them in Vegas, which is so not the case.
Not true.
And 2, Seattle is so screwed because they're never ever ever going to live up to the way that the Vegas Golden Knights have introduced themselves to the season. Who's going to travel from rainy Seattle to watch a game? No one.
Seattle is going to be what we thought Vegas was going to be.
Can I comment on the local tourist bit for a second here?
Yeah.
So Vegas has astronomical parking. Like it is the biggest in the country right now because of how the Knights have played in the first 3 years. And at one point in the game, they were like calling for different groups of people to yell and scream and make noise. You know what I mean? So like it was like male, female, and like, goals, middle of the ice. I can't think of like, too many examples, but the one that we noticed and remembered was they called for tourists to cheer first, and they did, and then they called for locals to cheer, and man, was it different. Like, there were so many more, if that chant is legitimate, there were so many more locals there than tourists. Like, you couldn't even believe the difference in noise. It was pretty crazy.
That's so cool.
Well, so, and I also got to see the new Raider Stadium that's being built. I literally saw it under construction. And let me tell you, when that team gets there is going to be so much traffic in that goddamn region of Nevada. It's not even going to be funny. Every cab is bitching and moaning about it already. It was crazy.
All right.
So, yeah,
well,
good time. It's awesome sports.
I hate to sideline the hockey discussion, but I think we need to lead off with baseball.
Comment, Luke, we are locked taking the Minnesota Vikings in survival football tonight.
I'd love to hear it.
That's when we
hope that goes well.
Podcast Thursday night.
Yeah, so tomorrow morning when this episode
congratulate us or fucking laugh.
When this episode goes live, you can either laugh at us or we'll be alive another week. So, David, lucky us, we didn't have our nightmare scenario come to fruition, but it's still a bad dream for Mets fans as the Nationals took a 2-0 lead in the World Series against the Houston Astros. David, can you tell us why the Nationals have looked so unbeatable in these last few weeks?
They just do everything right. I mean, they didn't look unbeatable against the Dodgers. They won on a home run in the 9th inning. They got by on the skin of their teeth there. The Cardinals, they were just better than stem to stern. And the Astros have not been hitting. Maybe this is because Scherzer and Strasburg, but on the other side, you got Verlander and Cole, and the Astros did hit those guys. Honestly, the way this team is winning, obviously they're up 2-0 in the World Series, and the example I'm about to give was not. But the Mets 2015, their run looked very similar, beating the Dodgers in 5 by the skin of their teeth, sweeping in the NLCS, and doing it by hitting some of the best pitchers in all baseball throughout that season. But they took the first 2 and we did not.
The reason I'm going to disagree with you there, Dave, is because I'm going to flip it. Actually, I don't want to say flip it as in saying that they're completely unrelated to each other, but I think what made the Mets work is that the pitching for the start of that run was so unbelievable, and it got us out in so many key things. And yes, we had Cespedes and Murphy, but I think what we're seeing from the Nationals in this specific run was that during the regular season, every Nationals player, regardless of who you were, played as advertised. If you were Strasburg and Scherzer, you're going to play fantastic. If you were guys like Suzuki and Eaton, you were going to play good. And if you were Wandercero or Gary, you were going to play like trash. And now I think in these last 2 series, we're seeing everyone on this Nationals team play somewhere between good to great. Every single person. And it's bonkers because I think that we're seeing the same stars come out of Houston. We're seeing Altuve perform, Bregman, Verlander and Cole are doing their thing. But those guys that don't always show up. And now everybody's showing up for the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, I think you're right. Even guys like Victor Robles, Kurt Suzuki hit a home run last night.
Kurt Suzuki, yeah, that's what I was just about to say. That was wild.
Not that with their 11-run explosion, they really needed that particular home run. I'm really impressed by their offense, though. Because, I mean, even in the regular season, they were scoring a lot of runs, but they were carried that distance by their top 3 starting pitchers. Just as they've pretty much been carried to this World Series by their top 3 starting pitchers.
Exactly. And we're not saying it's the postseason, so you don't usually see the same crowd you see in the regular season, but that Nationals bullpen in the regular season was atrocious. And I don't feel bad about calling them that because the Mets have beat up on them so many times, and the Mets almost for a hot second looked like the second worst bullpen in the NL East. We now know that's not the case. But we're seeing the same consistent guys come out of the pitching realm for the Nationals, and they're always doing their job.
Yeah, we honestly owned them in the regular season, though, this season. We just hit that bullpen easy. I don't know why. The Mets saw – have you ever looked at Sean Doolittle's numbers against the Mets compared to the rest of the league?
Is it that bad?
They're astronomically different. It's bad.
All right.
I think his ERA is close to 27.
Now he's what, the 8 guy? He's the 8 guy or the 9 guy?
No, the 8 guy because –
he's
no, I don't think so.
Closing. Didn't he close out game 1? Or am I mistaken?
Well, I mean, you could be right. I missed game 1. I watched game 2, but I was gonna. Well, yeah, I turned it off at 8-2. I'll be honest. But to Luke's point, in the first series, David, you mentioned that they squeaked by the skin of their teeth. They were sending out the same pitchers. I mean, it was Scherzer, Strasburg, and Hudson, and he was the only reliever that had stuff the entire series. to the point where one game Scherzer went 8, Hudson went the 9th, and he was in Game 5 at the end of it. And I think they had a hiccup when the reliever took over before he came in. But they stuck to their guys. They have 3. You know what I mean? And then Corbin's healthy too, obviously. But when you alluded to the fact that their pen was shaky, but it's the playoffs, and you don't play you play 162 game regular season. So
true, very true.
That's a marathon. This is a sprint.
Yep, exactly.
That's the difference.
Not have said it better myself. All right, well, to continue the bad news for Mets fans on this show, sorry, Ryan. News broke this morning that Joe Girardi will be the new manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, taking over for Gabe Kapler, who was fired after 2 seasons. Lawrence, as frustrating as it is to see the Mets lose out on Girardi, is it at all surprising?
No, not in the slightest. How could it be? Not in the slightest. Not even remotely. No. How many times do I need to say it? No.
I actually expected him to sound the Phillies.
Yeah, honestly, me too. I don't know, man. I thought we were firing an inexperienced manager that didn't know how to use a bullpen and hiring an experienced manager that knew what the hell he was doing and cannot hand in an incorrect lineup card. But here we are, and let's be real, Carlos Beltran or Eduardo Perez realistically may become the manager of the New York Mets. Do any of you believe that they would have any idea how to control a bullpen? No.
David's putting some real thought into it.
Yeah, he really is.
I wanted to have a reason that Beltran could, but I couldn't think of one.
I was going to say, David is the most optimistic Mets fan I've ever met in my entire life, and he couldn't even think of one.
I'm just I'm lost. And you came out and heard Cashman just throw roses at the guy for getting back into the league. I mean, if
the Mets got to do things like that.
If it's a couple of angles, right? I mean, you sign Girardi, you win the press conference, you save a ton of money, and what do you think? I mean, the Wilpons generally like doing both, but if they had to pick one, I think they would use saving money.
Always in for
I don't know, man. I think it's just like a desperate plea to be the Yankees. Just hire one of your old players, and they'll take you to the promised land because they're good clubhouse leaders.
They're trying to bat Patricia it.
No, they're trying to Aaron Boone it. I mean,
they are trying to Aaron Boone it.
They're trying to Aaron Boone it. That's just it. You know what I mean? And Alex Cora it. We can go there too, right? I mean, I don't know, man. It doesn't feel good just because you're a Met fan, so you believe everything's a train wreck, and that's how it feels.
To be honest, I don't know that Girardi would have even wanted to come to the Mets in the end of the day, because from a lot of reports I've seen say that Brody wants control top down, from the lineup to pitching changes, things like that.
An agent. He's an agent.
I understand, but he is still management, and he has access to the analytics department that the manager does not. He has a bigger set of information at his disposal. And I don't know that it's going to work out, but it's what Cashman's been doing, basically, through Boone. And Girardi would not have been okay with that. That's almost the reason he got fired in the first place, is because he wasn't okay with the Yankees starting to do that.
Yeah.
And all the good teams do things like that.
It's weird. It's like
they have analytical lineup configurations,
It's like the worst half of Cashman, because at least when we had Sandy Alderson, he was a trade mastermind. And now we're not getting that portion. We're just getting the top-down control, which I've lived through as a Jets fan. I can tell you it's not the best thing in the world.
Football's different, though. There's no analytics like there is in baseball. Baseball over the past 5 years has become extremely analytical.
I don't remember if I brought this up on the show before, but did you ever see the quote of Mickey Callaway saying that 80% of the time his decision goes against analytics because they don't account for how a player is doing on a day-to-day basis, which is exactly what analytics do. But this is the man we hired to run this baseball team.
I know, that's why he got fired. I can guarantee you, though, that Carlos Beltran will never hand in an incorrect lineup.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right, my friend.
I've never seen that in any level of baseball. Not personally. And I umpired Little League for almost 10 years. Never had incorrect batting order.
David's just counting on that one day a hungover dad is late from the office back home, so he doesn't have enough sleep, and I just got a hand on the lineup card. It never happens. Never happens.
No, and the kids always know when they're up, because they want to hit. They're kids. That's the whole point.
Just another year of Mets baseball. So, while the MLB season is coming to a close, the NFL is almost at the halfway point, which means teams are making their last few deals before Tuesday's trade deadline. Players that have been shipped to new teams so far include last week's moves of Marcus Peters and Jalen Ramsey, and this week's moves of Mohamed Sanu, Emmanuel Sanders, and Quandre Diggs. Ryan, looking at all the trades so far, who's your current winner of the trade deadline?
I mean, do I have to be the homer and say the Patriots?
You don't have to. You can do it, and we'd all expect it out of you, but you don't have to.
I mean, I don't think any trades have been crazy yet. I still think the Patriots have one more move they're waiting to make. I think they're going to make it late. I don't think they're done yet. What were the big three you named? Diggs, Sanu,
and Sanders. And I just saw before we went live that Michael Bennett is actually off to the Cowboys for a 7th rounder.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Could be a 6th, but I think the writing was on the walls there. I actually do think that I don't think that the Sanders trade was a win for the Niners. I thought they gave up too much.
Really?
There. Yeah, I don't like that trade for them. I thought the Patriots were going to go after him harder, but I don't know. I'm not sold on that trade. I like the Diggs pickup. I think that's a great defensive player, and I really like the Sanu pickup for what he can do.
I gotta disagree with you, Ryan. I think the Sanders deal's the best one of them all. I love that deal. Sanders in a 5th for a 3rd and a 4th. That guy is coming back. He's showing that he's still got it. I don't think there's a serious and the receiving core in San Fran has really been the big question mark. And Emmanuel
He's the
Sanders
one now.
Yeah,
exactly.
And they're undefeated. They're undefeated, and now they have a new number 1 receiver for a 3rd and a 4th.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about it I wasn't a huge fan of.
So this Diggs trade, that's not Stephon Diggs, is it?
No, it's Quandre Diggs, who was a quarterback, I believe, of the Detroit Lions. He was a corner.
Okay.
And he went for chump change. He was either like a 6th or a 7th.
It was like a 5th, I think. I just saw, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's probably like more of a depth guy, honestly, right?
For Seattle, probably at this point.
Probably
right?
a 3rd or 4th string corner, yeah. They're just shoring up that depth chart. So,
love the Sanu trade.
Lawrence, any thoughts?
Second, do you think the second's a lot, Ryan?
No, only because they have an option for him for next year, so you get 2 years out of him.
Okay.
So I don't think that, considering that you just spent a 1st on another wide receiver, I think that they're trying to lock up this receiving core for a couple more years because it's been a little bit of an issue, but they've
don't you dare call the Patriots
issue wouldn't be an issue, but I think they're banged up and they've been banged up.
Tom
and
Brady made a
lacrosse
player an all-star. Don't you dare call it an issue.
But I like Sanu. I like what Sanu does for that lineup. I think when N'Keal Harry comes back, you have 3 very interesting wide receivers and what they can do. And so I'm excited. I need a Brady pass to Edelman, pass to Sanu to a touchdown. Or some variation of that. Because it's got to happen.
Sanu's got a decent arm.
He does.
True. Rutgers alum.
Yeah, I believe he did play quarterback in high school.
We have 5 Rutgers alums now, I believe.
Wow.
Sorry.
At least 4.
Yeah.
That is ironic that they go from...
the state that program's into the fact that they go to the...
Most of those guys playing on the Pats after Rutgers probably doubled their wins by like week 7.
I saw a stat after the game on Monday night, and we can move on after this because now we're tangenting. But the 2 players that lead the Patriots in tackles on defense, I don't remember who the second one is. One of them is Jamie Collins. They were both on the 0-16 Cleveland Browns team.
Shows how much a defense is coaching.
Well, right? Larry, since you brought up the Monday night game, Luke, Do you know what this is? Luke?
All right,
Luke,
man.
You know what this
all
is?
right.
Oh, do I know what that is? That's the dollar I owed you.
That is the
man.
dollar that Luke paid me the night of, hammered the under on Robbie Anderson total yards, won that bet, and I thought that Lawrence, after making a mockery of my lack of ability to pay the dollar, that I'd get $2 Monday night, and I'd be able to get a little coffee on the Lograno brothers. But one brother was a little apprehensive after that 33-0 shellacking that covered the spread after 6 minutes.
Ryan,
So,
you can knock it all you want, but you picked it.
I did. I absolutely
knock
did.
him for taking the spread. You can knock him for not paying you. You can't knock him for taking the spread.
I did not think that the Jets were going to look like a bunch of 9-year-olds who had never seen football before on Monday Night Football. I had for the Super Bowl at MetLife, I expected a little more of a showing than Sam Darnold, who was quote seeing ghosts.
Oh, so funny enough, Brett Favre commented on that thing, that quote, and he said that apparently in like really young quarterbacks, it's a really common phrase to hear, because it just means that you're reading coverage wrong. It doesn't mean that like you're scared out of your pants. It just means that like you're picking up coverage incorrectly as a young quarterback, which I just thought was a fun piece of
Interesting
information.
tidbit.
Yeah,
Indeed.
right?
Ryan Hicks, here's your Venmo payment, my friend. One singular dollar and an 0 for 3 or 0 for 4, excuse me, on our Pick'em week. So here we go, boys.
Speaking
Perfect
of
segment, Luke,
Pick'em, thank you, Lawrence. Lawrence, you know exactly what I'm going to say at all times, and that's why I love you. Well, we're not done with football just yet. We still need to make our Week 8 predictions. Let's go ahead and pull up our leaderboard and take a look at the standings. David is in first place with 17 points and a record of 10-5. Lawrence, who also has 17 points, is in second place because he has a record of 8-7. Ryan is right behind the both of them with 16 points and a record of 8-7. And I am in last place, slowly clawing my way back into the mix of things with 9 points and a record of 4-11. So before David kicks us off, I just want to make it known that after the abysmal start to the Pick'em that we've been having going on, I won last week. I was the only person to get 2 picks right. How crazy is that?
That's how you make up ground, Luke.
Right?
I'm
It's nuts.
pissed. I'm pissed because I didn't bet. Actually, no, it's a lie. I bet all of them. I did bet all of them. I pushed because I guilty betted the Jets, even though I didn't want to. I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do it. I pushed on my Niners bet, however. I got it at 9. So I was lucky enough to push. But I also bet Jacksonville and won, and I was like, damn, I should have picked them.
All right.
All right.
Well, David, for maybe the last time for a few weeks, start us off.
Nah, it's not going to be the last time. Don't worry. But you're right. This is the first time it's a possibility, isn't it? How many points ahead am I? Was it 2?
You're tied. You just have a better
tied. Oh, I thought you said 2. Oh, wow.
You're tied with Lawrence and a point ahead of Ryan.
5, huh?
Yeah.
So we're really tied up there. All right, so my 1 point pick.
On.
Yeah, I know, right? 1 point pick is going to be Seattle, even though we don't know if Matt Ryan's playing or not. That line's sitting at like 3.5 right now, and I believe the game's in Seattle. I like it a lot, though. We always – the game's in Atlanta, actually. That's what I meant to say. But we talked about how bad of a football team the Falcons are. Every week, I think, someone picks against them. And there's reason for it, so.
Yep.
Seattle it is.
All right, Lawrence, go ahead.
Oh boy, I'm on the spot. I'll be honest. Didn't do much browsing. Have 2.
It's already Thursday, man. You haven't looked at the lines. When do you do this? Sunday morning? Might do better off.
I had a rocky start to my week, David. This is not, I said, oh my God, at work today, I swear to God, I said, oh my God, there's football on today. That's what I said. Because someone was like, oh, yeah, you're going to watch the game tonight? And I was like, oh, my God, there's a game tonight. I'm all jumbled, man. Big week.
Yeah, big week. Got a lot going on.
Really thrown off his rhythm.
All of a sudden you're 25, you can't remember to check lines.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. All right, my 1 point pick, and this is totally on the fly. I knew my other 2, but this one is totally on the fly. And I'm going to repeat that it's totally on the fly because it's totally on the fly. I'm taking the Bears at home laying 4 against the Chargers. They suck. They won last week, but they suck. The Bears need to bounce back. Trubisky knows that they're at home. They're only laying 4. and the Bears feel pressured by the two teams in their division that are way better and them need to come out at home and get a big win. This is all nonsense because it's off the cuff. My 1-point pick is the Bears laying 4. Book it.
Attaboy. Good job stalling. Ryan, go ahead.
Vegas Insider has it at 3.5, and I'm rather disappointed that I'm about to pick the same game that Lawrence just picked off the cuff. I am. So I'm taking the Bears at 3.5 against Los Angeles. Yeah, I've given up on the Chargers. I don't think they're a good football team anymore. I think the Bears defense are going to play very good at home, and I think they have enough to win this game.
Do I get them at 3.5?
Yeah, 3.5.
Beautiful. Yeah. I just got to have a point. I look like a genius.
All right. Well, I've been doing quite a few picks, so have you boys, but I feel like the only thing that I haven't done so far that you guys have, I haven't taken a big spread yet. So I'm going to go out on a limb and take my first big spread. I am taking the Patriots minus 13.5 against Cleveland. And I think just after watching the Monday night game, it just reaffirms what I've thought all season. The Patriots can really do no wrong. It's just kind of impossible. And Cleveland is still up and down. Yeah, go ahead and smirk, Ryan. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, little happy bastard. Yeah, so Cleveland's been really on and off. I'm hoping this is an off week. Brady and crew are always on. They're getting Sanu. They're losing Bennett and Gordon, and they don't need them. They've never needed them. They're always going to win. So they'll win. Hopefully they'll cover. All right, David, 2-point pick.
All right, so the 2-point pick I'm going to go with is going to be San Fran this week, even though that number I think got a little bigger. But, Carolina with Kyle Allen has been undefeated, but they haven't played that tough of a schedule, really. And this San Fran D might be the second best defense in the league to the Patriots, just from the way they've come out and played at home, laying the 6, or it might have been 5.5. I'm going to double check that line, so I don't look an idiot on there. It is 5.5. Yep. So 5.5. Laying the 5.5, only get one by 6. That's my 2. Locking that one in.
Cool. All right, Lawrence, go ahead.
Okay. I'm going with 2 road favorites for my next 2 games. The first, at number 2, I'm taking the Green Bay Packers on the road, laying 3.5 against the Kansas City Chiefs. We have uncertainty about Mahomes. I know the Packers kind of got away with one at the Lions, but they're proven to be a really good football team. Those free agent additions on defense look stellar. So Rodgers finds a way to get it done with either a hurt Mahomes or a Matt Moore, a quarterback. I think the number might be a little too small. So I'll lay the 3.5 on the road.
I'm just hoping for your sake that Jamal Williams doesn't sit down on the 1-yard line like he did for me. Because I've been there before, and I really wouldn't want you to feel that way.
I hear you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks for
Ryan,
looking out.
2-point pick. Oh, of course.
I'm taking your boys, David. I'm taking the Colts, 5.5 against Denver. Denver, similar to the Chargers, I think I've just given up on. Both of these teams have kind of been off and on, Broncos and the Chargers. And I've liked the Colts, and you've been picking them for a while, and I haven't been sold yet. But I like the team, and I hear what you're saying. They're a good football team. They're solid, and I don't think that Denver is Joe Flacco just is actually embarrassing to the game of football. So I'm taking the boys. Yeah, he's so bad. Like he's actually. I was watching their game the other night. He just people forget that I forgot that he was in Denver because he's done absolutely nothing. He's the most irrelevant quarterback this season.
He's probably been the worst statistically.
You haven't even heard his name on ESPN, but this is a long man. Joe Flacco sucks.
Oh, Luke Falk,
5.5 for Denver.
All right. Well, thank you, Ryan. And Ryan, you were really upset when Lawrence took your pick, so I guess I won't say much. I too am going with the Colts minus 5.5. Hit all the points on the head and let down. Colts have looked really. They didn't work out for me the first time I took them, but they've really cemented, kind of got their game plan down a little bit this time, so hopefully my luck will change. No, sorry to use the phrase luck and the Colts in the same sentence, David. I apologize.
Hey.
But with that said, David, go ahead and make a 3-point pick.
I do like that Colts pick a lot, too, by the way, before I get into it. I didn't like it enough to pick it, but it would have been my 4th choice, given that we had to make 4 picks. So, So my 3-point pick, I'm going to go ahead and take your team, the New York Jets, and spin that around, getting 6 down in Jacksonville. Yeah, I see the looks on both your faces.
Oh.
That just because you had an awful game against the best team in the league doesn't mean you're that bad. That's, everyone has awful games against the Patriots. What quarterback hasn't? Especially a second-year quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And now this Jacksonville defense, which just lost their best player. Not that they're substantially worse without him, just from the way they got a lot of talent, good coaching. But I think the Jets defense is just as good, and the Jets run a better offense, have a better quarterback, have a better all-around football team, honestly, I think. And they're going down to Jacksonville, so they're getting that extra 3 points. 6 just seems like too much for me.
I'm taking the Jets and pick them for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, that's gun to your head, had to pick the game, right?
Yeah, David, I hope for your sake that A, you're right, and B, that Demaryius Thomas doesn't play, because then he won't get 11 targets, and 4 of them won't get picked off. So I'm praying for you there. I'm praying for everyone in their own little respective right.
Dude, Darnold's a good quarterback.
He is. You don't got to tell me that, Dave. You don't got to tell me that. Lawrence, 3-point pick.
Can you I think this has been picked already, I believe, by Hicks, but can you confirm the Seattle spread?
No, I took it. It was 3.5, yeah.
3.5.
Oh, you took it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was
you're
my
smart.
one, though.
This feels unfair.
That was my thought, too.
It feels really unfair, especially if we're going with the fact that we get to pick today, because it definitely feels like it'll be different by Sunday. The line I'm referring to. So I think this is it's money, and it's my 3-point pick. Seattle laying 3.5. Falcons are terrible. If you listen to this podcast, we don't need to do this every fucking week. They're terrible.
Ryan, you look upset. Is there something you want to say?
I would on the record, I texted Luke on Tuesday asking him if the lines had been posted on so that I could put money on this game. I don't understand how Seattle's only 3.5-point favorites in this game. I'm very confused. With Matt Ryan still questionable. That's why I want to put money on it as soon as possible, because if Matt Ryan gets downgraded out, this line's going to swing hard and fast.
I can't bet it right now. I went to, and I can't.
I know.
It's not available on DraftKings. Because they know that's a problem.
Yeah, right. I texted him on Tuesday telling him to let me know when the line's open, because I want to bet this game. Larry picked another one of my picks. Seattle 3.5. When I saw it on Monday and then checked it again tonight, and the line hadn't even moved, I couldn't believe it. The Falcons aren't good, and they have Devontae Freeman, who's punching people in the face now and getting tossed out of games. Like what? Like this team does nothing but hurt themselves. And now you lose Sanu and Matt Ryan possibly. The minute this game gets posted, I'm taking it. That's my 3.5-point pick, or my 3-point pick for 3.5 points.
Did you see Freeman get picked up by Aaron Donald though?
Oh, I mean,
he literally picked him up by his throat.
Dude, you hit the nail on the head with this Falcons team weeks ago. Vegas still likes them, and it makes no sense. They're not
capping
good.
them like they're good.
They're not good. And you look at this Seahawks team, and Wilson's been balling out. He's in the MVP talks. How could you possibly put them at only 3.5-point favorites? I get they're on the road, but that's like calling it a pick 'em essentially, isn't it?
No, you get 3 for being at home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's saying the Seahawks are 6.5.
They would lay 6.5 points at home. Yeah.
They'd lay 9.5 at home. It'd be even because they would get 3 then. They're given 3 on the road. You know what I mean? So it's a 6-point swing.
Oh, right. Excuse me. Yes.
Not math guys. Not a math podcast.
Yeah, history teacher.
Once a math major.
For a semester. One whole terrible, painful semester.
I've been to the library once in the now 4 years that we've been at Quinnipiac together, and he had loose leaf paper everywhere and just a calculator in the middle of the desk, and he was just shaking his head. I was like, "Hey, David, how are you?" And he like bloodshot eyes looked up at me, kind of gave me a wave, and then went back down to ruffling through the paper. And I was like, "Whoa!" Came home and asked Luke what major he was, and I heard math. I just kind of apologized for interrupting him.
Now make your pick, Luke.
So it looks like I could be making up points, but not progress. So I'm going to keep it short and simple. Luke, toss the graphic up. Seahawks, 3.5. Atlanta, 3-point pick.
You guys all took that as your 3?
Yes, sir.
Oh man, it's gonna lose now.
Especially since I took it.
Well, that's what I said before you guys were on here. I asked him what what the line was. He's like, it hasn't been posted. He's like, that's your 3-point pick. And I was like, what? Are you going to tell me you don't like the game? He goes, no, I love it. And I was like, damn it. I just lost my 3-point pick.
Well, you could have taken something else, and like I did. I didn't expect all y'all to take it as 3. I took it as 1.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when you came in that low with it.
You guys realize? I think it's too good to be true. And whenever I do that, I want to make it a 3. But if you guys realize,
Dave's good about that.
3 weeks in a row, we have all shared 1 pick.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Saints, Jets, and now Seahawks.
Oh, wow.
We're starting to think alike.
Let's go.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Well, we're 1-1 so far, so maybe we'll make it 2-1. I hope it's 1-2 for the purposes of this pool. I have to root against myself now because you guys all took it as a 3.
That's why I was super conflicted about the Jets pick until I realized the math, and then I realized I'd be 6 behind Ryan instead of 7, so I was pulling for the Jets pull. But regardless, so picks are locked in. We'll be on the lookout for those this weekend. Well, we haven't talked hockey in a while. And that may have bitten Lawrence and David in the butt. Throwing back to episode 5, Lawrence and David discussed the possibility of the Rangers having a top 5 line in the NHL. Let's roll the clip.
Do you think this could be a top 5 points line in the league?
1,000%. I mean, listen.
I think
they got a lot already.
With these two guys together, they could be top 5.
Top 5, no.
Zibanejad and Panarin, it's realistic for Zibanejad and Panarin to average more than a point per game.
So I'm saying, with those two guys together, they could be a top 5 line.
So since that episode has aired, the Rangers have gone 0-4-1 with the tandem of Mika Zibanejad and Artemi Panarin putting up combined 5 points in 5 games after putting up 12 on their first 2. Lawrence, are you still sticking to your guns on this one?
I believe half my statement is still valid. I think that Panarin and Zibanejad can end up averaging over a point per game. Clearly, the Rangers' top line is not going to be a top 5 line in the NHL, and that was clearly my bias. Clearly. Let's be real. But I will stick to the possibility that Zibanejad and Panarin can easily finish the season over 82 points. 1,000%.
David?
Yeah, I would agree. The thing is, though, they're not playing on the same line anymore.
Yes,
so the whole them being a top 5 line, kind of that was really what I was going with, the 2 of those guys. But what was the stat line you said for them, Luke? How many points they had so far?
In their first 2 games, they had 12 points. In their next 5 games, they had 5.
And Zibanejad still has 11-7. Panarin has 6-4. 4 goals each. We're only looking at 7 games, so small sample size. Plus, Panarin scored tonight. No points for Zibanejad. But they're not on the same line, like I said. Yep. So that kind of, the whole theory was they're going to be a top 5 line, points-wise. And if they did play in the same line, it could be, but it's not good for the team. We need to split that talent up.
And my whole theory was this team is a train wreck, and it looks like I was right about that part, too.
Yes. That's still early, man. It's game 7.
Oh, David, they're being coached like they're the Mets. They're being coached like they're the Mets, David. Brendan Smith.
No, they're being coached like they're a college team.
Here's my thing, though.
Which is the problem in the essence of things, is that we thought Dave Quinn was going to be able to work really well with these kids, and now he's treating them like kids. And he's relying on 30-year-old Greg the Egg McKegg to really carry this team, and it really bothers me to no end because I'd much rather shove Vitaly Kravtsov out there, regardless if he's ready or not.
Ryan, make your point.
What's the Rangers' record right now?
2-4-1.
See, I hear you, David, with it's still early, but if they start the season 4-14, that's a huge mountain to climb in the NHL. And
timeout. St. Louis, A, and you just witnessed that. And B is a Ranger point that's way less relevant. But Alain Vigneault has had completely and utterly miserable starts, and they've still made the playoffs and went deep. But it literally just has. St. Louis was in last in January, and they won the Stanley Cup.
I hear you.
Go ahead, keep going.
Not
Sorry,
dismissing that point, and I wasn't saying it's not possible. But what I'm saying is, when you're not talking baseball here where you have 100 and something games. You only have 82 games, and if all of a sudden you're 15, 20 games out of the gate, it's a tough battle to climb up. That's all I'm saying. And so that's like I don't think my point is, I don't think you can just throw away the slow start and saying it's still early, because it's a lot easier to roll in the beginning, and then all of a sudden when it's deep into the season and you drop a couple in February, you're okay because you came out of the gate hot at 9-4 to start the season. That's my only point. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying that it makes your February, March, April significantly easier.
Right now, though, it's 2-4, and we're basically 5 games out of a playoff spot, and we currently are up 3-1 on the team with the most points in the East.
4-2.
4-2, same idea. What's the difference, right? 2 goals.
How do you know the score, Ryan? How of all people on this podcast did you know the Rangers score?
I actually have it on TV. I just haven't looked over there.
Because I have Carter Hutton and whatchamacallit.
It's been huge. It's been huge.
Yeah,
that's why.
He's been on a roll.
But seriously, winning this game, then we could theoretically be 3 points out of the playoffs, plus beating what's supposed to be the best team in the East at the moment. I don't know. Okay. I just think it's so early. 4-14 would not be early anymore.
I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying that you can blink, 3 weeks can go by, and all of a sudden you're in a much greater hole than you thought you were at 2-4. That's the only point I'm making here.
Yeah, no, that's true. They got to start winning now if something's gonna happen. Yeah, they can't keep losing.
Right. So during the time of recording, the Rangers are playing the Buffalo Sabres. They're up 4-2, as Ryan mentioned. David, I'm going to be honest. When this game started and we were up 3-0, I'm nervous that we're going to win this game. And the reason I say this is because I have the same problem with the Rangers that I have with the Mets. This is going to give a false impression that this is going to work, is what we have going right now. And one game is not a good representation of this lineup because statistically, through all the analytics, this is one of the worst teams depth-wise in the NHL right now. Awful. Just dreadful. And David Quinn has been messing with the lines like it's his only job. And he's going to think he's found something that worked, and it's not going to. He's going to run an 0-3 run, calling it now when it comes back to next episode, and they win their next 4 or 5. You can make fun of me then. But I just think this is going to set the wrong precedent for this Rangers team.
You just got Mets fan syndrome, dude. You can't look at the other teams like. Well, you got to look at the Jets like the Mets too, but the Rangers aren't like that.
It's 2 out of 3, David. Why would I look at 3 out of 3?
Because this is the one you don't have to.
Hey, the Knicks are well run too.
See ya.
Come over to the dark
side. Ryan, thank you for bringing that up because we're going to do something right now we don't normally do on this show, or what we've done on 3 Guys Talking Sports in the last 4 years. We're going to do some quick basketball. Now, the NBA season just started, so it's a little too early to talk about the games going on, but I want to talk about a quote from one great to another great. So on the Today Show, Craig Melvin asked Michael Jordan if he would still pick the same 4 perfect teammates for a pickup game that he picked 6 years ago, and Jordan said, yes, absolutely, not a doubt in my mind. So Craig Melvin asked Jordan if Steph Curry should be offended, and Jordan said, I hope not. He's still a great player, not a Hall of Famer yet, though. Ryan, are people reading too much into this, or is there some real disrespect going on here from the greatest basketball player of all time to the greatest shooter of all time?
Yes, just like everything else that the media is involved in. As an offhand comment, calling Steph still great, but not going against. And I'm sure, I don't know who Jordan picked as the other 4 players, but I'm sure they're all unbelievable players and probably
they were all Hall of Famers. They were all Hall of Famers that played during Jordan's era.
Right. And
so why would he be offended then?
Thank you. Yeah. That's my point. Like, this is just the media trying to spin something and like enough. Like, come on. Like, really?
What if it's completely literal? Right? Like, what if
he literally hasn't been voted in.
He literally hasn't been in the Hall. He's still a player. He's not in the Hall of Fame yet. He wants Hall of Famers on his team. Everyone knows that Jordan is kind of, been an asshole, right? When it comes to his legacy. I mean, listen. But still, and I think that's why the media can spin it like that, is because, Michael Jordan definitely would have said that and, meant it in the way that we're going to tell everyone that he meant it in. But, overblown, dumb.
Yeah, so I watched the interview, and after he said that, Craig Melvin just laughed, gave a real hearty laugh, and then they toasted with Michael Jordan.
He knew he got a story. Right. He knew he got a story.
Yeah, they cut the video.
Yes, I can publish that. Whoa, baby.
Some idiots in Connecticut will talk about it on their podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you guys are in Jersey. In the Northeast.
Next.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, David. I think you had some more to say on that.
No.
It's you wanted to bring up?
Nah, it's been one game. I mean, Kyrie put up 50 last night. That's cool.
Yeah.
No.
NBA
Not
move.
cool.
But we lost the game, so who cares? I mean, everyone's all pumped up. I was on Twitter this morning. All Nets Twitter is like, "Oh, this is great." And I'm like, we lost. It's
Wait,
0-1.
David, I'm sorry. You're bragging and Ryan's complaining, and I can't hear Ryan. Ryan, complain again.
Do you know how much it sucked waking up seeing Kyrie score 50, and guess what? They lost the game.
This is your fault. This is your fault, Ryan.
That was my fault.
Because, oh my God.
Wait,
What do you mean?
That was his fault.
Boston Celtic fans loved Kyrie Irving. He said he wanted to sign back, and they had a parade. And then half the season goes by. We don't want Kyrie anymore. He's a waste. Let him walk. And then
He was a dick in their defense.
And not only that, the point of bringing in Kyrie was to trade Brown to pick up Kevin Durant or Kawhi. And neither one of those things happened. We ended up just blowing $100 million on Jaylen Brown. So, yeah, when the whole Kyrie thing didn't work out and it was halfway through the season and we knew Kyrie was going to walk and we knew we weren't going to bring in Kawhi or KD, why should I be happy?
I think you
definitely got reason for this.
I think
the plan
you
was to
broke his
bring
heart.
Kyrie in to bring in Durant or Kawhi. That was the plan from the start. That was always the plan. It was never supposed to be just Kyrie in Boston. Everyone knew that either Brown or Tatum were getting dished so that they could bring in Kawhi, KD, or then there was a little bit of talk about some other big-name players. And it never happened. And so the minute that Kawhi started pouting to the media because he's all sad, and Danny Ainge wasn't going to pull the trigger and let Brown or Tatum go, then that was it. Screw it. We're done. We don't want you. Don't go mope somewhere else. Go have fun in Brooklyn and suck and score 50
in a
points.
real city. You're right. Yeah, have fun in a real city where they have real fans.
Where you
Biggest
lose.
city on the planet. You know that Brooklyn has 6 times the population of Boston? Just Brooklyn. I'm not talking New York.
And they're all smarter. Every single one of them
all
is smarter than every Boston fan.
But I'm going to side with you in this, Rye. If we didn't have Durant too, I totally would not want to. I would rather have D'Angelo Russell than Kyrie. Kyrie alone is not worth it.
No.
D'Angelo Russell honestly had a better future than Kyrie does. It's just that Durant only has 3 years, and for these 3 years, Kyrie is the better piece.
And you know what? Kyrie lasting a full season with you guys until Durant gets back isn't a lock. That guy's a head case.
Yeah, he's not going to leave when he's got Kevin on his team. Plus, he's home.
No,
he grew up in New
Did
Jersey.
Ryan mean injury? Is that what
No,
you mean?
I mean
I said
he's an
head
absolute.
case.
I mean
Yeah.
he's an
If he said
absolute-
head case.
I don't know. I don't think he's gonna be bailing. He's hasn't had a home, and he literally is back where he grew up. You know.
Home fans turn on you quick. Not good. You don't like being at home anymore, and everyone hates you.
Nets fans are different though, because they're all new. None of them had, like it's Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's not New Jersey anymore.
It's a very different environment than the Knicks are. The Nets.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Extremely
Much
different.
No,
Much
I don't know
different.
if he does because his state.
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
have
true.
two
You're not.
cities.
Yeah. Like you
Yeah.
don't know
This
what
is
that's like.
This is the Mets of basketball, Ryan.
But they're worse because they've never won anything.
Yeah.
All right, Lawrence, can you get off camera for a hot second?
Okay.
Yeah, just lean a little more that way, a little more that way. Hey, Lawrence, what time is it? Mailbag! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the mailbag.
Nice setup.
Like that, huh? Thank you. I thought that was cool. All right.
People
Well,
listening on Spotify have no idea what just happened though.
oh, no idea. And that's what we value our YouTube viewers, and we really do, because I put a lot of work into editing, and it's easy to edit audio, and it's very hard to edit video. So thanks for sticking with us, YouTube.
That's a good point.
It's almost like you went to college to edit video.
That's exactly what I went to college for. Well, it's time for our first mailbag question, but before I get into that, I want to make it clear that on Instagram, I asked for our mailbag questions that would let us talk about something that didn't involve us talking about how bad of a team the Mets are. And believe it or not, boys, almost every question I received was about the Mets or baseball.
I
So
think that's your fault.
shame on me. I'm totally taking blame for that. That's 100% on Luke. But let's get into the first questions. First question is from John Franklin. John wants to know, is he, a person with a bachelor's degree, qualified to make decisions for the Mets? I'm going to go with yes.
I don't think you need a bachelor's degree. Carlos Beltran doesn't have a bachelor's degree.
Did the Wilpons have a bachelor's degree? Did the Wilpons have a bachelor's degree?
I mean, they probably got one. I don't know.
They definitely have one. And they're the only people making decisions for the Mets. So, yes.
Brody makes a lot of choices too.
Yeah, but should he?
You're right.
But David, I'm at the point where I'm pretty sure, like a high school baseball coach could coach this team. So,
are you really that mad at Brody though for all this? I mean, I understand the Cano trade was terrible, but that in a vacuum looks awful. But look at the rest of the shit. Is he really that bad?
Yes, everything's bad,
Why?
David. Everything is.
Why is Marcus Stroman a bad trade?
It's not.
He's not. No, Marcus Stroman's not a bad trade. But we're just pissing away our future, and we suck now, and we're going to suck later. And everyone on this team.
You got a point about that, though.
All
right. I don't know, man. I mean, we have these big arms. Once these big arms leave, we have nothing. So you might as well try what we got him.
Ryan's upset.
Yeah. We'll let him go.
Ryan,
we'll talk about this
guys, 1 week, and we don't have to talk about it until Mookie Betts gets traded. So it's okay.
True.
All right, well, let's continue the baseball trend. So next up, friend of the show, Aunt Phil, sent me a New York Times article about the true popularity of baseball in America. It's been said for years that the MLB has an attendance problem, but this article dove into the statistics that showed that by the numbers that the MLB is flat out the most popular sport in America according to ticket sales. And it also shows stats like the fact that in 2018, 100% of counties in America air at least a quarter of Tom Brady's games, 98% for the same stat for LeBron, but only 1% for Mike Trout. In 2019, 12 of the 29 United States-based major league teams were the most popular primetime broadcast in their market, and an additional 7 teams ranked in the top 3 in primetime. On cable, 24 major league teams ranked first in their market in primetime, and the MLB is ranked first overall in cable in every major league market in the United States except for Miami. So I guess the question here is, does the MLB really have an attendance problem, or are people not seeing past the empty stands in every other game?
I got 2 things to just interject about the article, because, I mean,
Go ahead.
I didn't read it, but was that the one you were going to send, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
You totally should have sent that.
That was the one I opted
just spit a
to
lot of
send to
stats out really quickly.
I offered to send it, and no one wanted it, so I had to give them here.
It was on a golf course.
You came home.
Not the point. We can argue about that later. So the ticket prices, is that on average or total, nominal? Because they have double the amount of games.
Sales?
Math major.
Yeah.
No.
It's nominal?
Correct. It's
So, they play double the amount of games that basketball and hockey do. So obviously they'll have more sales. In football, it's 16 games. So that's a given. That's a little takeaway. And also last week we were talking about how basketball, football, national markets, baseball, hockey, local markets. So they're obviously going to be the top thing in their market because no one really watches hockey. And nationally, you said football and basketball are way higher. Like Brady and LeBron are seen by more people than Trout because, national broadcasts. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of those statistics are taken out of the air. It just kind of spun to look the way that.
I guess with that said, look at a team like the Detroit. You look at that look at the Detroit Tigers. No one's gonna look into the Detroit Tigers if you're not from Detroit, but the Detroit Tigers fans care about their team. So
you're right.
Just not say that baseball is not popular anymore, or is that it's not popular on a national level? I think is the gist of the question.
There's no way that baseball is more popular than football in America at this moment, and I don't even think it's more popular than basketball right now. It probably is after the past couple seasons because the NBA was a little boring with the dynasties and all that stuff going on. But football is absolutely king in America. Do you guys not think so? I mean, I know both New York and Boston are baseball
I was shocked to hear that it wasn't football.
Right.
I was shocked to hear that it wasn't.
Yeah. But that's, like I said, going off TV sales in local TV markets, which aren't reflective of what ticket sales are not reflective of what football is, though. They have 8 home games.
Yeah.
But I think not to dive too deep into this question, but I think what comes down to in the 4 major sports, what comes above all is the TV contracts. And to see that so much of the television markets being dominated by baseball, I think really says something.
But
it's also the only thing on in the summer, too, though.
Yeah.
Like right now, there's hockey and football and basketball on.
And there's baseball tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's the World Series, so people are going to watch that. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I just think it's an unfair comparison, those stats that they're throwing at you.
Now, okay. I have a question because I don't understand fully how TV works. Is this comparing if a game is broadcast nationally and locally at the same time?
No, it doesn't happen for the most part.
So if a game is broadcast nationally, it's not going to be
blacked
broadcast
out locally.
Yeah. Usually, right.
So you have the NFL who has contracts with ESPN.
So all of NFL is national because it's
Right.
only CBS, Fox, NBC, and ESPN.
So why would the NFL have any local?
Oh, they don't. That's the point. It doesn't exist.
Right. and I guess my confusion arises from that's such a flawed way to argue baseball's popularity is saying, well, because football is watched by everyone in the entire nation and football is so popular that we air games at sometimes 9 a.m., 1, 4, and 8, all nationally, but no one's going to nationally broadcast a 1 o'clock Tuesday game between the Miami Marlins and the Blue Jays.
No, but ESPN does have like a Wednesday game and like a Monday afternoon game sometimes.
Yeah.
Like they do weird stuff. It just does not get anywhere near the amount of views.
Sunday night and Sunday night baseball.
Sunday night is actually big. They get a lot of views because it's Sunday night, no one's doing anything, and there's only one game on.
They get a lot of views in the summertime.
Yeah, well, the summertime is what I'm saying, right?
Like I would argue that even once preseason starts, those MLB numbers are dipping. And I guess like I love the quote from I think it's the movie it's the movie about the concussions and the doctor who discovered CTE, and he starts to want to take on the NFL and the character in the movie's what?
Hitch. No, different Will Smith movie. Sorry, go on.
I think it's literally called Concussion.
Yeah. I think so
It's
too.
literally called Concussion.
Nonetheless,
That's all.
the character in the movie looks and goes, "You want to take on the NFL? They're the only organization that has owned a day of the week since the church." And it's true. The NFL owns Sunday. From the minute you wake up until the minute you go to bed, your entire Sunday for everyone I know is revolved around watching the games or checking the scores of the games or betting the games. Everything. That's it. From September until February, every single one of my Sundays, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I just think that's flawed. I think that's a flawed article using obscure stuff to try to argue baseball's popularity.
Well, maybe if I send it to you guys, you'll actually read it. Who knows?
I really do want to read it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You said that.
And I'm happy you guys are open to sending stuff I asked to send to you. All right, let's move on.
Just send it anyway, man.
Don't ask. Just do it.
Just do it, right?
In Luke's defense, I would say that Luke has probably sent me a couple hundred videos in the time that we've lived together. I can confidently say I've probably watched 3 on my own without him turning off our TV, handing me the phone, and forcing me to watch it. Like, come on, you're gonna try to tell me that if you're doing something, you're gonna open the text, say, "Oh, I'll read this later," and then you'll never read it. Sorry, Luke. It's just that's you know.
No, I know, and that's why I don't send things unsolicited. All right, back to the Mets. I'm sorry, Ryan. Dave DeVino wants to know, for the Mets' empty manager slot, who is the most likely candidate, but who is the best fit?
I think Beltran's most likely. Perez is better fit.
Mark, do you agree with that?
Beltran was a Met. I think they want to do that. And I think our fan base, even though we don't, our fan base for the most part does want Beltran. A lot of Mets fans I've talked to at work and around here say they want Beltran just because they see him as a player and they want to Aaron Boone it. And most people don't know who Eduardo Perez is, honestly.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Casual baseball fans do not know.
Have no idea. No, exactly.
I think that the Beltran thing, though, if you want to play devil's advocate for a little bit, like, do fans really, like, if he goes into the Hall of Fame, like, he's very much considering wearing a Met hat.
If he's our manager, he will definitely wear a Mets hat.
You think so?
I don't think he will not have a choice. The MLB will, definitely.
Maybe, well, listen, it's a liaison thing at some point, right? So if he's going to let Brody make all the decisions and we keep Regan on, 82 years old, to be our pitching coach and kind of tell him what to do with the bullpen.
Father time.
Yeah. True. I mean, I think Beltran is the most likely. I want to say the best fit is Luis Rojas, just because he's the only internal candidate that they're hiring, so they probably already have him on the puppet strings already.
True.
But
liaison's the problem. Also, they've had a lot of issues with how terribly Mickey has handled the media.
The press.
Because he's been an absolute disaster.
Yeah, train wreck, truly.
Which, in an uncapped sport, you need to make money to spend money. And I think that they're starting to realize you got to care about those kind of things.
Yep.
But I don't know. I mean, I think that this.
Ryan.
Yeah,
Sorry,
sure.
go ahead.
Yeah,
Last point.
No, the bombshell candidate that they mentioned.
We do mention that.
I think it definitely could be A-Rod. I'm not saying it is, but if I had to pick somebody, I think he's the bombshell. I don't think he'll get signed either, but I think that they have at least called him about the job, and he's at least had a conversation with Jeff Wilfon and Brody Van Wagenen.
It'll be interesting. We'll see.
All right, last Mets question, I promise.
Oh my God! More Mets. Why did you do this?
I didn't. I thought
the season's over. You guys lost. Move on.
I don't have friends. I have mean people in my life. So Jacqueline Schmiedel wants to know how bad are the Mets. Ryan, I think I have a good analogy for Jacqueline. So Jacqueline, here's how I'm going to explain what it's like to be a Mets fan. So,
what was the question?
How truly bad are the Mets?
You have 30 seconds.
Okay.
Max.
Cool. Perfect. So someone come. Yeah. So let's take our pick'em for example. Let's see how good Ryan and David and Lawrence are doing. And I'm really bad. I'm the Mets. I'm doing really bad in pick'em. But slowly but surely, these past few weeks, I've been starting to do really well. Now let's say I get like 3 points behind Ryan, and then Lawrence, David, and Ryan just said we're not doing pick'em anymore. We think it's stupid. We're not doing it. That's what it's like being a Mets fan. Is everything's bad, it starts to get a little better, and then it just gets all torn away from you, and it goes right back to being bad again. Is that a good analogy?
Great, excellent.
Well, serious 4 years ago, dude.
Very relevant.
It's not that bad.
Very relevant to the show. Very relevant to the show.
David, stop being optimistic about the Mets. Your season's over, and you don't have a manager. Let's go.
Well,
Jesus.
Non-baseball question, please.
Non-baseball question. I got one for you.
Oh, thank God.
Right.
Jake Bullion wants to know who is our way too early winner for the NFC Championship and who is our way too early MVP?
Ooh, a little double.
Ryan, since you're all pouty, you can start.
Can we start with MVP?
Sure.
We were talking about this earlier. I don't understand a world where McCaffrey is not the most valuable player to his team, and I understand now we're going to get down the rabbit hole of what is MVP. Is it the best player in the league, or is the most valuable player to their team? I'm going to take it the most valuable player to their team route. McCaffrey has kept this team afloat. They're 4-2 without Cam Newton, which is that's your starting quarterback. McCaffrey is second on the team in receiving yards. Second on the team behind G. Moore. I don't know, whatever his first name is. He's on my fantasy team. He sat on the bench
Devin Moore?
6 weeks. Sure, great.
DJ Moore? No, it's DJ Moore.
Whatever.
Devin Moore was the God.
McCaffrey realistically is going to pass 1,000 yards from the line of scrimmage and 10 TDs this season, this week on the season. I don't see a world where if you take McCaffrey out and put another average running back in, that they would do this. McCaffrey's an absolute tank. He has to be the MVP. Has to be. And it's a quarterback league and it's a quarterback award, so he's not going to win it, but he should.
Running backs have won, though, but it's only when no quarterback separates themselves.
Wasn't the last running back to do it AP?
Probably. Chris Johnson came in second it was more than a couple of years ago. It's probably a decade ago by now. I was in middle school. But I remember Peyton Manning one time beat Chris Johnson, and a lot of the NFL was upset because Chris Johnson broke the rushing record. And yeah, but it's a quarterback award, so it just it comes down to the fact that running backs are dependent on their teammates for success, and quarterbacks are to a much lesser extent, but all the other teammates are dependent on the quarterback for success.
Yeah, the quarterback creates success.
Right. The running back just reaps the benefits of it. He'll definitely be Offensive Player of the Year because of MVP. But I mean, 90 yards here, whatever. It's just something that's differentiable to different running backs.
So I got it. Peterson did it in 2012, and then Tomlinson did it in 2006, and Alexander did it in 2005.
So it happens.
It does. But in between that is Mahomes, Brady, Ryan, Newton, Rodgers, Manning. Rodgers, yeah. Brady, Manning, Brady.
Yeah, you can go. Yeah, it's mostly right. Brady Manning in the 2000s.
Yeah.
But I didn't if I had to pick somebody right now, it'd be Lamar Jackson actually, just because of the numbers he's put up, both rushing and passing.
You stole my goddamn pick.
Sorry. That means it's a good
for
pick.
MVP.
Yeah, for MVP. Yeah. Right now. Yeah.
Okay.
You looked at his numbers, man?
I have.
Wild.
Yeah,
I still
he's ran for almost 600 yards already.
Yeah,
he's already. I think had
Lamar
most
Jackson's
rushing
a phenomenal quarterback, and I'm so happy to see him playing like this. But he's not my pick.
Okay, all right.
If that team goes 12-4 and they get a bye, he'll be MVP.
Definitely.
I hope so. That'd be great. But I'm gonna lump my way too early NFC and my way too early MVP together. Mine's Russ, and just because Russell Wilson is always one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and this year the Seattle Seahawks have really taken the league by storm. He's what's keeping this team together. They're kind of like the Pats, where he not nearly on the level of Tom Brady-esque skill, because Tom Brady again takes lacrosse players and makes them skillful. But no, is Doug Baldwin and Tyler Lockett really in historical senses one of the best receiving tandems? No. And Russell Wilson makes them work, and he's got all the skills that Newton has. He's got a dynamite arm. He's incredible at his job.
You just said Doug Baldwin was a Seahawks receiver. 2018 called. They want their references back.
What? I specified that it was a historical reference.
Oh, damn it. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I know you don't. You never do that. God, you like me this episode. Oh.
It's your turn, man. Everyone gets their turn. It's just your turn. That's all.
It's always my turn every week.
Nah, it's always Ryan's turn. Let's be real. Come on now.
And I keep coming back.
He does keep coming back, yep.
So,
hey, I definitely get flamed from time to time, but it's usually warranted.
Yeah. So everyone's done MVP. Luke's done NFC. I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints because I don't – is this Ryan's? Yeah, you don't even have to talk, Al.
I like talking, though. That's why I do this.
Go ahead, man. Do it.
No, you talk.
No, you talk.
You're just adding time to this podcast.
This is the third pick you've taken from me. Go.
Don't let me explain all of them. I don't know. I like, the 49ers are undefeated and their defense is really good, and they've already blown they were Vegas projected them to get 7.5 wins. And rarely, it happens every year, but rarely does a team double their win total. They're going to go from 4 to at least over 8. So I don't know if I believe in them in playoffs yet. They certainly seem like the best team in the NFC now. Their schedule has been a little weak, but the Saints have been able to go to only lose once with Teddy Bridgewater for the last 4 weeks, and they missed Kamara last week. They're a really good football team. They've been tested in the postseason, so that would be my pick for today to come out of the NFC.
Got anything to add, Ryan?
No, my biggest thing that I was going to talk about too is the hype around the 49ers, and they haven't played a good football team yet. They haven't looked at their schedule.
They squeaked by the Bengals, didn't they? Or was that the Steelers?
They beat the Bucs on opening night, and Jameis sucks. Then you beat the Bengals pretty handily. Bengals sucks. You beat the Steelers by 4 points, and the Steelers don't have Ben Roethlisberger at this point. You smacked the Browns, and this is essentially the start of the downfall of the Browns. Then you beat the Rams, which, granted, good reputation.
In LA.
Yep, that's probably their best game. Then you beat the Redskins by 9 points.
Conditions for that?
Yeah, that's in the middle of a hurricane.
There, you should be able to put up more than 9 points. You should be able to run that. You should be able to pound that. Yes, you should be able to pound that rock. You should be able to pound that rock down the field. 100%. They're the Redskins. I don't care. No, I do not care. You can pound that rock down the middle of the field for an entire game and score a touchdown.
I would love to see you play in a hurricane. I would love to see you try and muster your little Irish body around in that when it's coming down, raining, miles an hour winds going up to 25. I'd love to see you out there, Ryan.
I'm not asking for the Niners to air it out and score 40 on them in a hurricane, but you're going to tell me that you couldn't run the rock down the field for a drive and you had to kick the whistle every time?
How? Flipping.
I don't buy it.
Okay.
I think the Niners have a solid defense. I'm not sold on this offense.
And you have Emmanuel Sanders, so there you go.
You haven't beat a good team. Beat a good football team, and then you can talk. You haven't beat a good football team.
Who have the Saints beat, though, besides the Bears this week and the rest of their division? They haven't really played a ton of great teams either, have they?
No, but backup quarterback.
Yeah, but he's good, too.
Yeah, true, but he's not the starter. He's not the starter.
He's not the starter. You're right. Bree's gonna be back this week too.
Yeah, all right. He's not the starter. That's that. You either beat good teams or you're playing with your backup quarterback. They're winning with their backup quarterback. That for me, like that's fair.
Good team.
The Saints are a great team, and they're a great coach football team, and they're always in it.
All right. Last mailbag question. Sorry to cut you off, David. We have this question.
No, I didn't get a pick.
Oh no, sorry.
All right, do it real quick.
Packers. Green Bay. Rodgers is better than everyone. That's it.
I thought you had more to say on Ryan's pick. I didn't realize you hadn't picked yet. I apologize for that.
No, it's all good. Don't worry.
All right, last question. Antoine Campbell wants to know, do we see Taylor Hall locked up on a long-term deal in New Jersey or on the trading block at the deadline?
Nah, he's not locking up if things keep going like this, boy. Let me tell you. No shot. If the Devils continue to have an absolutely horrid season, yeah, I do believe that he will not sign an extension.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
I don't think they trade him.
I don't think they trade. So I'm gonna kind of mix my answers with David and Lawrence here. I think everything needs to go wrong for Taylor Hall not to leave this team.
Good start.
like the Devils need to tank for Tua for Taylor Hall to leave this team because I'm gonna try and say this without totally meaning it. I feel like hockey's still the one sport where like loyalty to a team still means a thing, and that's not always the case because we saw how many people left the Blue Jackets, and money's always a thing. But I feel like hockey, when you grow with the club, you kind of stick there and you want to stay there more than any other sport comparatively. So I think that even if the Devils go 500, we'll see Taylor Hall. If they are a bottom 5 team or a bottom 3 team in the NHL, I think he's out the door.
It's going to John Tavares it. Nah, I really don't think he's going to leave. He's too young. He wants to play with Jack Hughes. I think he wants to see that kid grow. If I was him, I'd want to play with Jack Hughes. That's just me, though.
No, I agree. And I hope he doesn't leave because that means someone's going to dig up a picture of him in pajamas. That's the last thing to say. All right. Well,
hold on.
Have it. Yep.
I have one more thing to say.
Oh.
While the Instagram masses may be in favor of Luke, I still refuse to believe that Luke could hit a 55-yard field goal after 6 months of training. That's it. Publicly on the record.
Ryan, look at me in the camera. You can't just drop that with no context when this is already the longest episode we've ever done. You can't drop that with no context. It's just unfair.
Luke and I had a.
I think we can get a lengthy discussion out of this next week. That's your tease for the next episode.
It's so unfair. I hope you understand that you're an awful friend. Well, now my sign-off's ruined. I'm Luke Brano.
I'm Ryan.
I'm David Eckesell, and I actually hit a 20-yard field goal today at work.
Whoa, did you really?
Yeah, you know.
With no prep.
In gym class, yeah, but 20 is not. Well, we'll talk about it next week.
Finally, thankfully, I am Lawrence Legrano.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, now I got to go edit this, and thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Thanks for listening on Spotify. Please feel free to like this video, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Spotify. We'd love to keep you going on this train so you can hear what happens next week when all of my friends yell at me. All right. Thanks for stopping by.
New to defense.